When most people think of the King Katmai, they think of a superb backcountry airplane. This King Katmai has 29-inch bush wheels and is designed for hard backcountry operation. What most people don't realize is that there is also a King Katmai model with normal tires and aerodynamically designed wheel pants for greater cruise speed. This configuration has all the excellent short takeoff and landing capabilities of the standard backcountry King Katmai, and it also has the superb slow speed ability to land safe and short in the event circumstances require it. Now let's look at some of the other benefits of this particular Katmai configuration.
One of the nice things about the King Katmai is the fact it's got really good high altitude performance for a non-turbo engine. Right now we're coming up on 12,000 feet, and our rate of climb, even at 12,000 feet, is a rock solid 800 feet a minute. We're heavy with quite a bit of gas. So the rate of climb is very nice. I'd say normally it's in the 800-900 feet a minute area at 12,000 feet. One of the really great things about this airplane with the standard wheels is the King Katmai is capable of some good cross-country speeds. Normally, reach a peak, I'll figure anywhere from 156 to 157 knots true, somewhere in there. And the difference right now is with the 29-inch bush wheels on the airplane, we'd be truing about 135 knots. So right now we're doing 155 knots. It's oscillating a little bit, but our fuel consumption is also fairly high. So if we kind of very slowly pan over to the fuel consumption, you can see we're running about 18.9, 19 gallons an hour, somewhere in there. The nice thing about this is we can go lean a peak. We'll just bring it on back to about 14.5 gallons an hour, which is a very respectable figure. We're going to lose just a little bit of power. It's about the equivalent, I think, of 2 inches of manifold pressure. Usually costs about 5 knots in cruise speed. So now at about 14.5 gallons an hour, we've lost a little cruise speed, but not much. I mean, we're still truing out right now at 152 knots, running kind of about 152, 53 knots. So at this speed, very efficient. We're at 6,500 feet, got a lot of gas on board, about 60, 70 gallons of fuel. So at 6,500 feet, lean a peak, we're truing 152 knots on 14.6 gallons an hour. Very efficient airplanes with small tires. One of the things a person has to be ever vigilant about with the Katmai and the King Katmai especially is our cruise airspeed. The Katmai's red line with a longer wing is 157 knots indicated. Now we're at low altitude, about 3,000 feet, running at 75% power, which is a reasonable power setting at this altitude, and we're rich at peak. Now with all that set up, we're currently indicating about 146 knots. We're well into the yellow arc, or the cautionary arc, which I don't really much like. So at a reasonably heavy power setting of 75% at this altitude, we're within 10 knots of red line on airspeed. So consequently, a guy has to be really vigilant in a letdown that you don't simply just push the nose over to descend. This will require a power reduction in order to keep the airspeed in check during a descent. So here we're running 147 knots within 10 knots of red line. Guy just has to govern his practices accordingly. People occasionally ask me if every approach with the Katmai has to be a slow one, And I'm saying, no, you can make a fast approach. If you're at a larger airport getting sandwiched in between, some jet traffic or whatever, you're on an instrument approach, you can certainly run an approach with more speed. Right now we're doing 115 knots indicated on short final. We'll start slowing the speed down just a little bit. We're at 110 knots now. Runway's in sight, coming up pretty quick. The big thing with running a faster approach speed is you just leave the flaps up. So you're not limited to just shooting every approach at slow speed. Now we're coming up on the threshold, still doing 100 knots. We're going to decelerate to about 95 knots here, coming up on the threshold. And we're crossing over the threshold at about 90 knots. So you can still use a fast approach if the need arises. We're just going to work a little bit of a right-hand crosswind here. Just carrying off that float. We're going to grease her on. Right there. Keep the right wing down. Drop the other main. Nose comes down. So once again, you can make fast approaches, slow approaches. You can just tailor the speed to the need.
If you need to go faster, this King Katmai configuration will let you tailor your speed to your need.